Extremist ideology is on the rise. Right and left, top and bottom. The extremism is starting to dominate. Hello guys! Hello! My name is Joe. I talk everything about geopolitics and macroeconomics. And quite recently, my homeboy, Hasan Mehdi, he was on Jubilee, quite a controversial episode. He was debating self-proclaimed fascists, and in the light of this interview, I have decided to make a video about extremism and why is it happening? Why are we seeing such a huge rise in extremist ideology? Now I just wanna have a quite teaser for today's episode. I have a tiny little teaser for today's episode. I was actually able to secure a secret unreleased footage from Jubilee, so you will be able to see it. I know a guy, he knows a guy who knows a girl, and I have a rights for a secret little footage from Jubilee where Hasan is actually going quite off. He's going quite off, he's just spitballing, and so I have the rights to put this secret footage on my channel, so it's going to be quite exciting. You have definitely reason to be excited for today. But guys, before we do that, let's make sure that every single one of us smashes that beautiful subscribe button. Only the smartest and brightest people on planet Earth are allowed to join the following of this channel. So if you are one of those people, if you are one of the smartest and brightest and most gorgeous people, then definitely make sure to smash the subscribe button and join in. Also make sure to smash that like button. It truly helps the algorithm and it helps my channel grow, so make sure to do that. And also, if you are feeling generous, then consider donating. It truly helps my channel and helps me produce this beautiful content for you guys. And I am hugely grateful for anybody who decides to donate. And without further delays, guys, let's go. Now guys, today we will start right away with the secret footage from Jubilee that I have prepared for you guys. So I will just grab my headphones, guys, and let's all take a listen. Let's take a listen, guys.
60 grave-digging necrophiliacs versus 1 archaeologist. Will they be able to agree?
You wait 1,000 years, we dig them up straight away. What's the difference?
Super chilled surfer dudes versus angry Islamic fundamentalists. Can they get along? I like my religion like you like your waves. Radical veganism versus bestiality. Can they find a middle ground?
Listen, we all technically love animals.
5 paddleboarders versus 1 secret waterboarder. Can they find the odd one out?
Let's just say I love boarding in a nice bay, specifically Guantanamo.
Amputees versus cannibals. Can they see eye to eye?
What a waste of limbs. I could have had them.
10 Wait, are we not platforming the most extreme people and normalizing their viewpoints as if they're viewpoints that are like widely regarded? Nah, 10 toddlers are ranked by attractiveness by 1 pedophile.
Now there was quite a footage, guys. There was quite a footage. It was hilarious when I first saw it. Obviously, I'm seeing it like 2 or 3 times. I have to download it as well and prepare it so that I could see it again. But it's quite hilarious. I just want to point out that there is a lot of yapper, yap on the left, that we shouldn't be platforming these type of ideologies. But what escapes these type of people, a lot of the libtards, what escapes them is that there have been tons and tons of videos where the opposite is true, where a lot of the left-leaning ideology and sometimes even a far left-leaning ideology has been quite prevalent, and these people have been platformed. So if we want to have a society with free speech, we should try to platform everybody. Obviously, if employer have also their own rights for free speech, or if they decided to fire somebody, well, they have their own freedoms, and so they are free to employ whoever they feel like it. Generally speaking, they should not discriminate, obviously, for people who are different looking, even that they cannot discriminate based off of religion, obviously, as well. So not skin color or neither religion. But when it comes to political ideologies, this is a relatively murky waters, and if somebody decides to fire somebody because they are racist on a big channel like Jubilee, well, they kind of have the right to do so. On the other hand, we obviously want to live in a free society, and we want to have a freedom of speech. We want to preserve our freedoms that are being attacked every single day, especially in these days. The censorship is quite severe, and trying to censor somebody because they have different ideas, well, it can very easily backfire, because the pendulum swings from one side to the other, from libtards to Trump-tards every single day. And the censorship is quite heavy, especially if you decide to criticize a certain country, if you decide to criticize the horrors that are happening in the Middle East. The censorship is extreme, and so we should try to actually protect our freedoms, our freedom of speech. Now, there is a lot of yapping it up, that there are so-called far-right pipelines on social media. So if you, for example, get yourself into the wrong bubble, you will quickly end up on the far-right social media bubble. Now, we have to obviously point out that the same is true. If you scroll just a few videos, you might end up on a far left part of the bubble. That is obviously quite far left bubble as well. As a matter of fact, I can recognize far left ideology on my For You page quite easily. It is less easy to recognize because the far right is pretty much more straightforward, and people on the left are much more eloquent and sophisticated, but nevertheless there is quite a lot of far left ideology as well, and just as much you can end up on the far right bubble, you can also go down the far left pipeline and end up on a far left part of the algorithm. And this brings us to the main point of today's video. Why is it that with just few scrolls you can end up on the far right side of the algorithm? Why is it that with just few tiny little scrolls, you can end up on the far left side of the bubble? You can go down the far right pipeline, or you can go the far left pipeline. Why is that? Well, the answer is super simple. It is because people are creating a lot of content that has a lot of extreme ideology. There are more and more people who are creating this type of content. It is an obvious answer, but it may not seem as obvious as it is actually. In reality, it is quite obvious. There is much more people who identify themselves on the far left or on the far right, and today we will explore why is that. Now, one thing that I quickly want to point out is that there has been a lot of research that the algorithm allegedly prioritizes far right ideology, and that it will put you on a far right pipeline, but it's relatively speaking, that's I would say outside of Twitter, that's mostly a nonsense. There is no such a thing as a far-right pipeline, except for Twitter. That one's that one's preferred by certain type of people. But other than that, the algorithm is just a compression loss algorithm. It does not prioritize any type of ideology. It prioritizes what you are into. It literally watches your microscopically behavior. It watches if you pause the video, if you like the video, what time you like the video, what time you watch the entire video, if you skip part of the video. It microanalyzes every single thing you do, and it serves you what you are into. And more people are into far left ideologies, and more people are into far right and far left ideologies on both sides of the aisle. And why is that? Why is there rise in the extremist ideology? Well, like I said, I just want to mention it again. It's simply because people are creating more and more content that is extreme. There's extreme left or extreme right. There is more and more people who identify themselves on the extremes. And in a sense, it reflects the ideas in the society. It more and more reflects that the society is becoming more and more extreme. It's a bell curve, and it's becoming more and more extreme and less in the middle, less moderate. And why is that? Well, that is mainly because ever since the 70s, 80s and 90s, there has been a huge divide between those who have, between the billionaires, between the oligarchy class, and between those who have not. In other words, there was a huge rise in inequality between the classes, between the bottom 99% and between the 1%ers. And obviously the oligarchy class is trying to divide the populace, the people, the bottom 99% into two corners. They're trying to divide them. It always worked, and it works now as well. They are trying to divide people into libtards and Trump-tards. But what is happening is that the more inequality, and then the less people can afford, the more extreme ideologies are being drawn out. Now, there are obviously far-right examples everywhere, like for example the self-proclaimed fascist. But on the other hand, we have extremists on the left as well. My lovely homeboy Luigi is, for example, example of a extreme left ideology. So it's on all sides, guys. Obviously, the insurance companies and the medical healthcare industry in the United States is insane, but we cannot murder people just because that it is insane. We need to find real true reforms. And so Luigi is, for example, one of the examples on the far left extremes. There are other examples, but generally speaking, the bell curve is becoming more and more extreme and extreme as the inequality is on rise more and more and more. Now, why is that? Again, it is because in the 70s, 80s and 90s, there was a huge movement amongst the billionaires in order to privatize gains at all means. There was, Friedman, who basically was a famous economist who pioneered this basically economic ideology that meant profit at all cost, prioritizing investor over the consumer, over the customer, over the patient in hospitals. Basically, based off of Friedman's ideology, we have the rise of consulting firms like McKinsey, and all of these firms basically started to put in the Friedman's ideology in place. Deny, defend, depose. All of this ideology became prevalent in these times. Also, in 70s, 80s, we saw the huge shift from localized manufacturing workers, and they were all shifted into cheap third world places like China. So all of this has been also happening around that same time, that this ideology, Friedman's ideology, these consulting firms' ideology were on a rise, where it was profit at all cost. And also we see that not only do the billionaires want to shift the jobs and don't want to pay anything for them, they also don't want to pay for the service jobs, for the servants type of jobs. They wanna import people who don't have any rights, who are undocumented, who are basically almost like a modern day slaves. They cannot have a labor, they cannot have a real contracts. They are working basically they don't have a real bargaining power, and the billionaires are truly taking advantage of this. And during this period of time we see the huge amounts of inequality on rise because of all of these factors. Now this huge increase in inequality means that there is obviously crime usually in societies goes up, where societies feel like there is a huge inequality and that there is a huge injustice, basically unfairness, that no matter what you do, you will always end up the same way. For example, the biggest predicament of success in the United States is not your intelligence, it's not your hard work, but it's your prior capital. Basically meaning if you are born into wealth, you are going to end up wealthy. There is no social mobility in the United States at all. They are just unicorns, and these unicorns are being put as an example so that there are no protests, but basically there are almost no unicorns at all. There is no social mobility, and this breeds the feeling of unfairness, which breeds the feeling of no matter what I do, I will always end up poor, and so this creates a breeding ground for a lot of crime. Now we have to say that no matter where you are on the aisle, if you are a libtard or a Trumptard, no matter where you find yourself, there is no real answer for this. They don't offer any solution for this. They are just trying to divide people. The libtards and Trumptards, they are just trying to divide people so that they don't unite. They are just trying to divide and conquer. And this is what we are basically seeing play out today. Guys, I just really want to mention one last thing, and it is that obviously, guys, you all actually know me talking about the geopolitics and stuff like that, and macroeconomics, but what I actually want to talk to you about is that I'm a writer too. I write a blog, amazing, unique, fun little blog. Only the smartest and brightest people in the entire universe will be able to appreciate it. And so if you are one of those people, the most beautiful, gorgeous, brightest and smartest people on planet Earth, then you will love the blog too. So make sure to check it out. Also, make sure to smash that like button, make sure to smash that subscribe button, make sure to check out the video here, make sure to check out the video there and everywhere. And guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.